coaches. Welcome back to Bigs Rule the World. Welcome back as we continue our Fear the Wing series, talking about the single wing offense. I'm excited to get into this. We're um, sort of recapping where we've been at. We've talked about the history of the single wing offense. We started out talking about Pop Warner's influence. Then we get into Dana X Bible at the University of Texas and Texas A&M, and then finally we talked about the Notre Dame box and Newt Rodney's influence and how the Notre Dame box influenced the NFL with the Green Bay Packers, among other things. And we sort of gotten into the history. Today, we're going to get into a little bit of like modern day, who's running it, how's it being affected, how are we seeing it in football. And then, I'm excited because after this episode, we start getting into the nitty gritty of what defines a single wing offense, talking power, talking trap, talking sweep, and talking spinner series and all that comes off of it. So I'm excited about that. First off, talk about we have just this. I'm trying to think when this episode's going to be airing the Tuesday before the new year. One Bad Blocking Scheme. If you're watching this episode and it's not January 2021, you're in luck because at the end of December, the One Bad Blocking Scheme, I'm going to link in the playbook I'm going to link to the sign up list in the description here in the link. I write up your entire offense. Our offense that took us from 700 yards rushing one year to 2,100 the next, 2,200 actually. The complete system, how we ran inside zone in the G series and made it look the same. We got it right now down to $30. That $30 also gets you access to questions with me for any questions or concern. Draw it up to whatever fronts you may want. I draw it up to 5 fronts for you. I think it's good stuff. You got my answer. You got me to ask questions and answer stuff with. Like I said, guys, we took our offense when I was a coordinator and a head coach, and we took our offense and we added this to our air raid scheme, and our passing numbers went down just a tiny bit just because our quarterback got hurt, banged up, but our rushing numbers more than tripled. So our offense took off using this one blocking scheme. And all it works on, guys, it makes your offensive line play so much simpler because we practice down block 90% of the time. And I show you how our offense is built around that. And it's something that, if you don't build your offense around it, because I don't suggest you go and tweak your offense completely, it's an idea or a principle that I think you need to think about into simplifying it for your big five guys up front. Okay, that's how we pay the bills, guys. We do the YouTube stuff for free. We do my newsletter for free. Occasionally, I'm going to advertise something, so I apologize for that. But if you're interested in that, please hit the description in the link. Now, let's get to the show. The modern day single wing. So we're going to be talking a little bit on how to start out how the single wing has sort of influenced in the NFL. So the first thing, this would mess up my link here. You know what I'm going to show. Okay. If you go back to the Super Bowl, really, okay, everybody was clamoring about how, the Kansas City Chiefs, so I paste that in. Everybody was clamoring on how the Kansas City Chiefs ran the single wing play in the Super Bowl. Really, if you want to get down to it, the principles of it were Notre Dame boxes. But we talked about that already being an iteration of the single wing as I talk while it loads up here. This is the one they stole from Michigan. It's from the Rose Bowl. I'm guessing somebody somewhere might flag me. If they do, I'm sorry. I'll take it out later. But you see here, you get the movement, the pre-snap movement, motions, and shifting that is reminiscent of a single wing. We have our Notre Dame box. We have unbalanced line. They jazz it up a little bit there. I mean, look here, we're just faking all the buck stuff because this is where buck lateral and everything comes off of. And instead, they just drive straight ahead, end up plowing ahead for a touchdown. So, some good single wing type stuff there. If you want to get into really where single wing principles probably were most prevalent in the NFL. Now, this is you remember the game. I think it was back when I was in high school when the Miami Dolphins employed the Wildcat formation to beat the Patriots. And, Bill Belichick had this to say: when you put a quarterback under center, you lose a blocker, you lose a gap. You basically play with 10 men on offense. When the quarterback is one of the runners, whether it's single wing or veer or wishbone, the defense runs out of people to defend you. And that's basically what Bill was saying is the beauty of a single wing offense. Now, all these clips in here aren't necessarily single wing. Some of them, I'm a Cowboys fan. Let that ad get away. Here we go. I'm a Cowboys fan, but they run a play in here that it's a little more than just sticking the running back there and having him doing some weird throwback type pass stuff. A little bit more than sticking the running back there. It's not going to be a true single wing in the traditional sense. I'm going to wait till it runs it. Here you're getting the little hard sweep action, outside zone stuff. You're not getting too much. There's one play. Get past this Cowboys play. I'm a Cowboys fan. The play worked, but I was not that big a fan of it. Again, I'm not that big a fan of Wildcat throwing the ball type plays. I understand the need for them. I understand you probably have athletes on your team who were quarterbacks at some point, and they no longer are. Okay, here we go. Buffalo Bills. They're just running power here. They run direct snap power, quarterback type power. And I think you get sort of single wing influences when you talk about Urban Meyer type spread offense with Tim Tebow runner. Okay, look, we got the kick, we got the lead, boom, boom. There we go into the end zone. That's the type of plays you're seeing. Okay, that'll limit that getting that extra blocker in by snapping directly to the running back, or the quarterback rather. I think is where you're getting this single wing type elements from. Now, who's the biggest name to talk about? In my opinion, when it comes to high school single wing football right now, Rick Darlington. Made most famous at Apopka High School. He's now in Enterprise, Alabama. He's been to Valdosta, Georgia. Quote from Rick Darlington I love: we're going to put so many people in C-Gap that you're going to have to sort through them all to get to our 5-foot running back. And I've listened to Rick Darlington speak in clinics before, and he talks about not having the biggest or the fastest guys in the room, but Apopka having to compete in Florida guys in one of the biggest divisions in Florida. They saw everything a little bit different. My last year at Buckingham, we went to sort of an Apopka-based strength program, and that's why I started to take notice of them. The Apopka-based strength program, we were doing a lot with 7, 8 sets of 2, sets of 3, sets of 1, sort of max effort type stuff. Sort of wild, different thinking. So he's now in Enterprise, Alabama, Wild Apopka. He's 3-time state champ, 4-time state finalist, 6-time state semifinalist. He was Florida Coach of the Year, I believe, in 2012. Also spent time as Valdosta, but he's renowned around the country for his single wing offense. And I believe, some of his influence, if you want to go look on Rick Darlington, CoachRickDarlington.com, I believe you see where he sells his system, where he talks about his system. It's not like a Tony Franklin type thing, but you can sit there and you can talk to him, and it's if you're really into the single wing stuff, I would suggest that. He speaks at clinics, has many endorsements from coaches across the country. So I clicked in this YouTube link because there is YouTube links out there, guys, about his claims on his plays, and I actually want to get into how he calls his system, how he does his specific stuff. But this comes from their 8 clinic, which looked to be like their sweep. But I wanted to run this and let you see. This is a cool thing, I think, with a shift, a formation. I want to give you guys ideas where I can. Okay, but here's an idea from a Popco where they start out again, almost Notre Dame boxes here with the idea of okay, we're gonna shift some. You see here, center obviously up front. And you're like, okay, they're heavy this way. Well, look what's gonna happen. Now, they're just switching sides. They're switching strength weight, but now they're unbalanced. Almost this. They've shifted everybody, and now the whole unbalance is now to the field. So they went from all this heavy set where it's not necessarily unbalanced. He's got 3 on 1, 2 on the other because Rick likes running. The videos I saw with him, he's running more with a receiver rather than a tight end than another tight end in the box. But look at all these bodies out here to the field now, and they're gonna come out and they're gonna run a little bit of sweep, boom, and get big yards. And the other things I noticed about a Popka with, Popka is probably most. I was reading about a Popka, the most famous alumni in football. Um, Warren Sapp. Warren Sapp's big name. So I'm not gonna say they don't have dudes, but I'm gonna tell you they're not the biggest team on the field whenever they play. And that was a big thing that Rick sort of spoke on in his clinic was they're not always the biggest team on the field. So they find different ways within the single wing to sort of make these elements work for them. And that's what I think you do with any offense is you make those elements work for you. The Virginia single wing. Why in the world am I talking about Virginia? Well, guys, I'm from Virginia. Um, I'm interested in the single wing, and this offense actually is very popular our way. When you go in and you look up, oddly enough, the Wikipedia of the single wing offense, guys, in my research, I actually hit Wikipedia. I don't recommend it to any history students, but I like it for some quick stuff that you can fact check and stuff. Um, I don't know why anybody would go in and BS around on Wikipedia for the single wing offense, but who knows? Um, but actually, I went in and there's almost a whole section dedicated to there is a whole section dedicated to the modern teams who've had success, and there's a whole section within that dedicated to the teams running it in the state of Virginia, which is wild to think about. So if you're going to talk about anybody in the state of Virginia with a single wing, it's got to be the team with one wing on their helmet. Um, they've been running this thing at least I know since the mid. I'm I'm I can read back as they won a state championship as early as 1980 with it, and the offense has just stayed with the school, Giles County, the Spartans, since the inset. They've stayed with the single wing ever since. State champs as far back as 1980. It was most recent as 2013. While I was coaching at Chatham, while I was coaching at Buckingham, they were in our region. Just a hard-nosed group of like mountain, far western kids. I actually dated a girl one time from Giles County. Hard-nosed western kids, and they sort of built on that single wing type of deceptive offense. Um, Other teams to go with there. We have Stan River High School I talked about with their Jim Thorpe type guy, and Grayson Overstreet has a run there from 2015 to 2017 where they scored 2006 points. State runner-up in 2016, state semifinalist in 2017. That picture right there is kind of wild because I was at that ball game between Heritage and Stan River, two teams that aren't really that far from each other, Bedford County and Lynchburg City. Both counties neighbor each other, but they were in different regions. They met in the state semifinals. It was a bloodbath between Grayson, who's now at Emory and Henry College, and Lala Davis, who last time I checked is still at ODU. Probably the two best running backs in the state of Virginia that year. And great, Lala ends up getting the win. Heritage, heck of a ball club. Um, but Stan River High School, some of the things I talked about back in our first episode, they really pop onto the scene for me with an 85-79 win in the second round of the playoffs in 2015. And you're taking Coach Poston started it up there. You took this team that was used to going like 2-8, 1-9, and all of a sudden 15, 16, 17, they start kicking everybody's butt. Three-headed monster running back, just unbelievable. And I tell you, Jim Thorpe like guy in Grayson Overstreet. And then finally, Clark County, I've talked about before, state runner-up in 2015. I was reading about how they installed the offense. It was actually in 2007. This is relevant for me because I was in high school. Clark has their quarterback break his leg. And their coach talked about he had to figure out different ways to do it. He had never run the single wing before, but he started installing single wing type formations by 2008. They install it fully. Their playoffs ever since. We actually met them in the 2000 and trying to remember now 2010 and 2010 and 2012 playoffs. We met them both times, defeated them once on the road, once at home. 2015, probably their best season. They finished state runner-ups to Appomattox County High School, who, if I ever talk about this year, I'll talk about. But that year, they averaged 54.2 points a game. This picture here is actually from a state semifinal game where I can remember them being heavy underdogs to this club out from near Kentucky called Union High School. And Union, just because of the way the seating was, had to go to Clark up near West Virginia for the game. And they got absolutely slaughtered. I mean, it was over before it began. I remember reading about that. Other schools who've run in the state. Now, the cool thing about these schools, okay, Giles County, single A, double A. Stan River High School, triple A. We have 6A here. Clark County High School, double A. So you're going, okay, small school offense. These teams, Osborne, Parkview, Stonebridge, Louisa County, minimum 4A. Okay, your Stonebridge, your Parkview, your Osborne, big time schools up in the 5A, 6A ranks. Have been to the state championship game, have won state championships running the single wing. So you're having success in the single wing offense in the state of Virginia from the 1A to the 6A level. It is being successful because I think a lot of times we want to think, well, if I'm a big school and I'm big and I got all these talented guys, I need to be running the air raid offense. I need to be running shotgun spread offense. No, guys, each offense is built to be successful. Okay, take advantage of your athletes and put your athletes in advantageous situations. Okay, a lot of people will say with the air raid, you got to have a quarterback. Got to have a quarterback. Well, man, I'm gonna be honest with you. It isn't that hard to teach a guy to complete short passes. Just isn't. Okay, I think if you have a competitor who's willing to work, you're going to be successful. If you got a tough nosed kid, you can be successful. You just put yourselves in situations. And I think one of the things I'm going to be excited to do is talk about how the single wing can influence your offense, whatever it is, and how we can get extra blockers and do that type of thing that Bill Belichick talked about and give us +1 in the running game. But that's just a brief view of the modern day single wing and the Virginia single wing. Next time out, we're getting into the series, guys. We're talking power, we're talking trap, we're getting into easy stuff to start out with, and just sort of how we can dress it up, how we can make it look at the single wing, how we block it. Okay. Till next time, coaches. Remember, win games, you got to score points. Score points, you got to dominate in the trenches. To dominate in the trenches, you got to remember that bigs rule the world. I'll see you next time, coaches.